Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And I will now call the regular school board meeting for Independent School District number 544 to order. And with that, I will ask the clerk to establish a quorum, please.
Kirby Anderson.
Here.
Natalie Knutson.
Here.
Melanie Cole.
Present.
Missy Hermes, present. Stephen Vigasa.
Here.
Matthew Lemke. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. And we have an agenda before us that is expanded since our email version. I would look for a motion to approve the agenda as presented this evening.
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion on the agenda?
What was added? I guess I just not saw it.
Great deal of personnel.
Yeah.
Personnel stuff?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I was just curious.
Okay.
It was kind of an ongoing saga.
Yeah. Right.
All right. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. It is approved, and we have one resolution which acknowledges Steenerson Lumber. So thank you to Steenerson Lumber for their donation to the woodworking and construction program at the Kennedy Secondary School. With that, I will offer the resolution and move for its adoption. Is there someone who will second?
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion on the resolution? All in favor? We'll have a roll call vote. We'll see.
Natalie Knutson.
Yes.
Melanie Cole.
Yes.
Matthew Lemke.
Yes.
Missy Hermes, yes. Stephen Vigasa.
Yes.
Kirby Anderson.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted.
All right, thank you. So we have a variety of reports this evening, and we'll hear about the math curriculum. We'll have our principals tell us what's happening in the buildings and the superintendent. But we're going to start tonight with Alex Lindgren, a student and a student council representative, which is a little tough on you because you get thrown right in. You didn't get a real temperature for the meeting. But I trust that Principal Tilke kind of gave you the lay of the land. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we would invite you to go to the podium and share with us your thoughts.
Sounds good.
Yeah, welcome. Miss Sullivan will scoop, yes. All right.
Well, my name is Alex Lindgren. I am the president of the high school student council here. I'm the only one that could make it tonight. Our other senior representatives, there's Cole Zierden, who's our vice president. Hannah Polieski is the secretary. Anders Antonison Brown is our treasurer. And then we have two other representatives, Ella Mayer and Ben Shire. But with activities and sports, I was, the only one that could come. But we were just asked to kind of come and meet with the school board to kind of just get on the same page because we haven't been, meeting as regularly as we have in the past. So I figured I'd just, kind of briefly tell you guys what we as a student council do throughout the year. So in September is when we have our elections, where we have 5 underclassmen per grade and 6 upperclassmen. And then once we have our representatives, we pretty much go straight into planning homecoming activities and all the dress-up days and things that have to deal with that. And then we go into October, where we have our first of 2 blood drives through the Red Cross. In November, we run a Thanksgiving food drive, which has normally been pretty successful and has been this year as well, where we got just about 1,000 pounds of food, which is, a great donation towards our food shelf, especially during the time of Thanksgiving. And then we move on to December, where we have Penny Wars, which is just pretty much almost like a game that we have for fundraising, where we have classes versus classes to raise money for the Salvation Army at Christmas time. And then into January, after Christmas break, we don't do a crazy lot in January since, we just get back from Christmas break, a lot of people are gone, and also the end of semester. So that's kind of our planning month. In February, we go into Snowball. That's kind of the big one there, where we have to plan Snow Olympics and, once again, dress-up days. And then we also tend to do carnation sales on Valentine's Day, just as an extra fundraising opportunity for us. And then in March, we do our second blood drive, which just some statistics I have here for that. Between the two this year, we got 102 units of blood, which our average or kind of goal is about 50, so we met that this year, which was great. And then we also donated enough blood as a school where we can get a Red Cross scholarship for, I believe it's up to $750, and you can split that amongst up to 3 students, so that's just another opportunity that we have there. And then also in March, we have our Western Division meeting, which we had this year. We hadn't been in attendance for a while, so it was great that we got to get back. We just pretty much met with other schools from our region and talked about some of the issues that we're having here, how other schools are dealing with them, and that was a pretty eye-opening experience that I really enjoyed attending. And then also in March, kind of a busy month for us, we had our snowball dance this year. Normally that's also in February during Snowball Week, but with the rising numbers of COVID, we pushed it back into March this year, and that was a success. I believe we had the most attendance we've ever had at a dance. I think we had about 400 people, so quite a few this time. And now coming up, in April, we have prom. That's probably our biggest thing we do there, where it's just a bunch of planning. A lot of the not underclassmen, but junior representatives do a lot of the prom planning for the student council. And new this year, we also did egg messages around Easter time, very similar to carnations, where it's just kind of an extra opportunity for a fundraiser. And finally, to close things off in May, we have an Adopt a Highway it's kind of, I believe it's on Highway 210, next to the prairie. And we just go out there when it's nicer weather and clean up the ditch. So that's pretty much what we do as a student council in a brief summary. Any questions?
Yeah, I had a couple.
Yeah, go for it.
One was, this is the low-hanging fruit. These are going to get tougher. On the blood drive, can minors give blood? Do they need to have a parental?
I believe the age you have to be is 16. We can start donations. As a 16-year-old, I believe you have to have a parent signature, but I believe once you're 17, you can donate blood at any time without parental consent.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you guys have done great with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was wondering if you guys do, as a student council, have a role with policy, decision-making, recommendations to the principal about this is a change that in how the school functions that the students would like to see. Do you guys do much of that?
When it comes to specific policies, we don't necessarily map those out, but we do at our meetings bring up issues that we see. So we might not come up with the exact rules or how that is, but if we see an issue, we would bring it up, and normally with Mr. Tilke, who's our advisor, we come up with a solution that we hope would fix the issue. So we don't directly do policies, but we kind of.
Yeah, and that's kind of the general thing. I was hoping you were gonna be having input. So like when you had that Western region meeting or whatever, and met with the other student councils and talked about issues, what kind of issues did you identify, or are there some commonalities?
Oh yeah. One thing that we did notice as a whole, we had very similar issues with all the schools, and one of the pluses that I saw as coming here from Fergus, the severity of the issues I felt were a lot less in our school than they were in some others. Just some of the stories that we heard, I mean, we all have the issues, but it just seemed like we were almost better prepared for the things that we were having, which I thought was a great thing. But some of the, I guess, common issues were violence was one, where some schools were really concerned with that. I'm not sure if that's so much an issue here, at least from my perspective, but it's for sure a topic. Drug use and vaping was one that was quite common, and how we could deal with that. And then responsibility was another one, just making sure keeping students accountable for the work they have to do, along with just common respect among students. And also one that's kind of new with coming back from COVID, we had student climate and participation. Being gone for 2 years, it was kind of somewhat odd, merging back together, trying to get back to the same activities. So that was probably the biggest one that we talked about, was how we can get things back to normal.
Cool. Good.
I have 2 questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
So with your different fundraising things throughout the year, do you have an idea of how much money you typically raise?
I'm not exactly sure on the specifics.
Okay.
I know for our little sales, for like carnations and eggs. We normally don't make a crazy lot of money off of those once you take into, you know, the cost of actually producing what we need. So probably only a few hundred there, but our, I guess like penny wars and stuff, I think this year was a little bit off once again, kind of with like the coming back from COVID and not doing it for a few years. We didn't raise as much as we normally do, but sometimes those like community fundraisers we can raise. I think 1,000 isn't too far out of reach for most years. So.
And then has your group had any kind of partnership or worked with Lance down in food service at all? Like just as he's continued to evolve the landscape of the meals and the whole setup down there? We
haven't had a crazy lot of interaction, at least from what I know. I don't think we did a crazy lot there, but there might have been a few surveys and stuff that Lance directly sent to the students, but as a student council, I don't think we had too much of an impact there.
Thank you.
I think this is maybe the second time some of us have seen you speak. I think, did you make a public speaking presentation last year to some community members? Remember that? Was that part of?
I might have. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, Miss Christensen's class?
Oh, probably then, yeah.
Yep, I remember. So she said you were a good student. You do a nice job.
Oh, thanks.
She just told me that just now, actually.
Watching you.
I have a good connection with
her. Were there any other questions? Thanks for contributing.
Yes. Absolutely.
I mean, because, even like the fundraisers, some of those are fundraisers as well as funds. But thanks for doing that and then contributing to what I really liked hearing you saying was the solution-based approach to the issues, because you have a unique perspective that we couldn't duplicate even if we had like a time capsule, but whatever. And so thank you for that. I appreciate you serving the school and coming here tonight. Anybody else have any comments? All right.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Nice job.
We'll move on with our next report from Principal Sullivan and Amelia Lamar about the math curriculum. And so, hello. Welcome. You saw how we treated Alex.
Yeah.
I'm nervous now.
Well, good evening and thank you for having us tonight. Amelia Lamar has been serving as our chair of our Math Curriculum Review Committee, and she is also serving on the State Math Standards Review Committee, and we'll be able to share a bit of perspective from that scope of work as well. So we're excited to share with you our Math Curriculum Review proposal tonight, which was approved by our DAC-RAC committee last Monday. To begin, we just want to revisit some basic terms that come up in any of our standards review and curriculum review processes. And we find that there can be some confusion from state to state, especially around these terms. We are tasked as educators, charged as educators to provide standards-based instruction for all of our students. And by law, our teachers are required to teach grade level benchmarks. From state to state, these terms are used differently. And so we just want to draw your attention to specifically the term benchmark, because not all states have benchmarks. And so this is required in legislation. These are the grade level stepping stones that our teachers provide instruction in for each student so that they can be competent and achieve college, career, and life readiness in overall anchor standards. And so the curriculum that we choose and use to instruct our students is our local control, right? That's our local choice in how we support our students and our teachers in providing sound instruction to reach career, college, and life readiness. And so at the state level, backward design is used by the standards review committees. Amelia and I can both speak to this. I served on the English Language Arts Committee for the state level standards review, and Amelia, now in our math process, can both attest to this process, beginning with what do we want to see from our students as they graduate, as they're going out into their life's ventures, whatever paths they choose. What do we want to be sure that all students are equipped with as far as the knowledge and skills that will help them to be productive, contributing citizens? And so from there, anchor standards are formed, and then from that process, the committees divide into technical writing groups to create grade level benchmarks. And in this process, the standards are released to the public via surveys and online postings, as well as in town hall public review meetings. Of course, that's changed a bit through COVID. They used to be all face-to-face meetings, and now they have shifted very much to virtual town hall meetings, but there are several opportunities throughout these processes for the public, including families, parents, community members, business owners, educators, to provide feedback along the process of making these standards. So I'll have Amelia share just a bit about what is currently happening in the math standards world.
So we released the version 1 of the proposed K-12 anchor standards in February. Using that public feedback and our collaboration with our area schools and schools around us, we then are in the development process of version 2, which is going to be released here in just a few weeks. That version 2 is version 1, but revised. It will also include the first draft of K-12 benchmarks. We will use that feedback again to revise and edit one more time so that those can be submitted to the commissioner in August. Anticipated changes, now nothing I can say is really definitive because everything is driven by our public feedback and our data that we collect. But overall, anticipated changes are going to be a formal implementation of data and analysis beginning at a kindergarten level. Right now we don't see a formal strand until 3rd grade. So we're looking at implementing data and analysis beginning in kindergarten. We received a significant amount of positive feedback about creating a formal financial literacy standard for K-12, as well as computer science will be implemented at a benchmark level, and we have specialists in computer science working to build those.
Does anyone have any questions about the standards review process while we're on that topic here? So when our math curriculum review committee formed and convened this September, we began our process by planning out what our process would look like. We did all of the logistics of who's on our committee, how do we represent our student populations, and all of our courses that we support here in our district. And then we worked to establish a vision for our work. We based all of our work on the research at the national level from the National Council of Teachers in Mathematics and their most recent publication, A Call to Action, Principles of Ensuring Mathematical Success for All Learners. Maybe not quote me on that one, something like that. I didn't bring the text in here to show you, but we based all of our work on NCTM's mathematical teaching practices for teachers and also student learning experiences using the most recent research. And our committee formed this vision to drive their work. Excellent math instruction engages students in meaningful learning through individual and collaborative experiences that enable students to make sense of mathematical ideas and to reason mathematically. And so all of our work reviewing curriculum, both existing curriculum we are currently using and potential front runners for the next adoption, were viewed with this lens and this vision for what we want for all students. We spent several months reviewing potential options for curriculums. We had several teachers implementing lessons from different publishers, developers, and as well as technology supplemental tools, and made our decision late, a little bit late, just the first week of April. We presented to the DACRAT committee last week and had very positive feedback from the DECRAC committee, which I shared with you in advance of this meeting. Another part of our process that was very important, it was developing a curriculum evaluation that we all agreed on that would measure all of the components that we felt were necessary to support academic success in mathematics for our students. And so while we looked for the run-of-the-mill, everyday curriculum pieces that you look for, like rigor and appropriateness, coherence, application, things like conceptual understanding and procedural skill and fluency in math, we also looked through the lens of those student learning experiences in math that we want for all kids, and the curriculum's ability to support the teaching practices that we want to see for high quality instruction for our teachers. And the K through 5 group decided on Bridges in Mathematics. And this curriculum is a core instruction curriculum that really uses a hands-on approach, which the committee was concerned that they wanted to be sure that students had opportunities, lots of opportunities to get in with physical materials and to use manipulatives and games to support their math understanding in building that number sense, especially in the younger grades. And Amelia was a part of that K-5 group. Is there anything you'd like to share about the Bridges curriculum?
Just reinforcing the idea that it was important to all of us K-5 as we worked together to get that opportunistic piece of being able to explore mathematics in order to develop that deeper understanding of what they're doing rather than the procedural aspect of it.
And so we had really positive feedback from the committee members in these grade levels who reviewed this curriculum and identified this as their top choice for supporting our teachers in the classrooms and students in their learning. It's very strong in building conceptual understanding, actually understanding what the math represents. Uses rich learning tasks that promote authentic reasoning and problem solving using a mix of independent, small group, and large group activities. There are ample opportunities for math discourse, which is a really important piece of math instruction that's really a highlight right now, being sure that we are offering students opportunities to communicate their thinking, to hear other people's thinking processes and learn from one another. Even if you don't come up with the right answer, to learn from others different thought processes, and for teachers to be able to pinpoint where errors are made within algorithms to better support students in correcting those errors for accuracy. There is a mix of print and digital resources for Bridges. However, the digital resources are limited. So the committee is recommending to also adopt Dreambox as a supplement for a technology piece to support students in their learning. And that is kind of a smart software that uses diagnostics to identify students' skills as well as skill gaps, and is also a great way to differentiate and really accelerate learning, especially due to lost instructional time over COVID. We're excited that our K through 5 curriculum adoption proposal also includes support for our interventions, including our title classes and special education classes who have not had math curriculum in the past. Our Bridges interventions recommendation is fully aligned to our Bridges core instruction curriculum. It is a K through 5 hands-on interventions curriculum that again uses diagnostics to place kids. It's based on theme and skill, and rather than grade level. So all of the title teachers who support math and special education teachers who support math K-5 be able to receive the same training and collaborate, work together on how to implement that well to support math instruction within their tiers of support for students. For grades 6 through 12, the committee is recommending to adopt Reveal Math. It's a McGraw-Hill curriculum with Alex as a bundle. And Alex is also a smart software similar to Dreambox that uses diagnostics and helps to identify students' skill levels, gives them that just right skill as the next piece of their learning, continues to adapt to students' individual practice. It is not a standalone curriculum, it is a supplement to offer, again, some differentiation and individualized instruction for students to support their core instruction. Reveal Math has just a wide array of a mix of print and digital resources. The digital platform is the same platform that is used in their science classes. So for students, that is a plus. It is also the same digital platform that is currently being used in K through 6 ELA classes in their Wonders curriculum. So students are familiar with that resource. Similar to Bridges, conceptual knowledge, procedural skill and fluency, lots of opportunities for mathematical discourse. Another pro that we're really excited about with both of these curriculums, so K-12, is that there are lots of resources for Spanish support. So if we have families who are not native speakers of English, all of the resources that we have available for English speakers are also available in Spanish. There's a lot of support for academic vocabulary, and both curriculums have ample support for at-home learning. Each lesson and module, for example, in Reveal, has a letter that can be emailed home, sent home, posted in a Google Classroom for parents as to what skills we're learning, what prior knowledge students have had leading up to this learning, and then the exact terminology and support that parents could offer their children at home should they choose.
Just reinforcing the idea of Dreambox and Alex. A really big pro of both of those programs is that it meets the kids where they're at, and it allows you to support the same concept at their individualized skill level. What makes that different from other SMART programs is that it eliminates the stigma of where they're at in reference to a specific grade level. It doesn't flash a red X if you get it wrong. It automatically adapts to them where they're at while continuing to reinforce that skill. So you lose the stigma among the students as to who has a higher score, who's smarter, and who's not. It adapts to them directly.
Another piece that our committee was really excited about, especially the Reveal software, is that when teachers are using the digital support pieces for students in class, they can use the data within the system, whether it comes from Alex or from their Reveal platform, if students do any assignments using that platform. They can use that data to group kids. So they might have 3 instructional groups within their class, and as Amelia said, they can pre-assign that and push that work out within their classroom without ever regrouping kids. So they are physically in the same spot they always were in, or wherever they prefer to be, without any stigma of being in group A, B, or C. So that's another added benefit with this software. For the math refresher course, which is taught by Marcia Talley, she had been using a Pearson text, which was a remedial college text that really needed some revamping, and she is very excited to be proposing to use a Carnegie Learning integrated text for her math refresher course. This has a mix of Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. So as a refresher course, this is really a great path to be looking towards, so that kids have this exposure to all of those concepts before they head out to their next venture, whether that be attending a 2-year school, going to a university, or whatever path they choose. This also has an online component that is bundled with, it's part of the purchase. This one's called Mafia Online, which is just another added benefit to add some complementary practice for students in that course. So as we mentioned, we are in the process of adopting new standards as a state, which might not be the ideal time for a district to be adopting new curriculum. However, the committee felt strongly that materials are absolutely necessary at this point. The high school textbooks are falling apart. The elementary has expressed lots of needs in doing more standards alignment with their curriculum to meet the needs of and the rigor of our state testing demands. Our PLCs next year will focus on supporting teachers in that math curriculum alignment process, identifying guaranteed and supporting standards, aligning their curriculum, and either identifying or in some cases creating standards-based assessments to use at a team level so that we can really have a student focus on learning and what we do to support our learners within the classroom. And so that was our process, and as I mentioned, the DACRAC feedback approval forms are available for your review. And our final proposal here is that we adopt Bridges in Math for our core curriculum as well as Bridges Interventions with Dreambox as a technology supplement. In K2, we have IXL for grades 3 through 5 already. And at 612, Reveal Math and Carnegie Learning with Alex, as well as with interactive panels. We are recommending that we provide teachers with interactive panels to support not only their math curriculum, but every curriculum they use in their classrooms. And that is K4 students or classrooms that do not currently have interactive panels. We would welcome any of your questions.
I guess this is the second time I've seen this presentation, and I never dreamed I would be excited about a math curriculum, you know. But I'm really excited about this, especially with given the work that you've done with the gifted and talent or the talent development, being able to differentiate the instruction, especially with Alex. I think Mr. Sternberg said it was like IXL on steroids, is what he had said, and I lost my train of thought. But the being able to meet a kid where they're at, whether they're not so great at math or great at math, but also being able to mask that so they don't have to go to a different classroom or, you know, any of that stigma that comes along with that. I'll remember what I had to say probably after the meeting, so I'm just going to shut up now. But yeah, I'm really excited about this.
So we have item on our agenda to approve this, and then it's my understanding, so correct me if I'm wrong, we are approving the chosen curriculum, but also approving the financial support that goes, and so after tonight, then it can be purchased and we can begin the implementation for next year.
Yes, and the implementation that we are proposing is to implement for grades K through 8 next year, and 9 through 12 would follow in the next school year.
And the staggering is simply to make it more manageable for you to work with them, basically?
The staggering is intentional based on high school plans. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, which Mr. Anderson will be presenting at your work session also
Gotcha.
tonight.
That makes sense.
When the language arts curriculum was implemented a few years ago, the treasures, we had someone come in and from that company and give in-service help to teachers. Is that going to happen with this too?
Yes, Reveal Math will have a day of training before school begins for teachers, and we'll also have a refresher training when the committee chooses. We're looking at possibly October or maybe January, depending on what teachers would like, with an additional day of Alex training. Bridges interventions will be that training that teachers can sign up for. It's more of a Zoom training for that, but the Bridges core instruction is a 2-day training for teachers that would be offered this summer.
Okay, thank you.
If you could just, I still haven't remembered what I was gonna say, but, another question that I just don't have 100% understanding. So you said that, you know, it's a bad time to, pick a curriculum when the standards possibly are changing. So, do you anticipate, well, I guess you can't anticipate a surprise, but is this thing adaptable, or do you feel like you have enough supplements to supplement if the standards come out and it's not what you were expecting?
I feel very confident that we have plenty of supplemental resources at our disposal with this plan, especially with Alex and Dreambox, as well as IXL.
Okay.
Because sometimes almost any curriculum we will adopt is made to fit national standards. And Minnesota has their own stipulations, their own legislative requirements that complicate things in most content areas where maybe, for example, in science, a lot of our 3rd grade benchmarks in Minnesota in national standards might be found in 2nd grade or 4th grade or 5th grade. And so we have to do that work digging in to our standards to really identify where in our curriculum each benchmark is supported. And we have to do that supplementing regardless.
Sure.
So I truly believe that the success of a curriculum is the success of the teams doing the standards alignment work, and that will need to be done regardless of what curriculum we choose.
Sure.
In follow-up there, looking ahead at those new math standards, Christy mentioned a lot with students learning from each other and understanding various approaches. I am confident that a lot of the verbiage in our benchmarks is going to shift and moving away from understand how to do this and change more to justify how to do this, which I do believe all of these options do support that.
Other questions for our presenters?
Matt, you met with the presenters before the meeting. Do you have anything exciting you want to share, or just any concerns?
No
Should go?
concerns.
Okay.
No concerns that.
I just got some background.
I thought, no, thanks for the questions. I thought something that's a positive is just the parent reaching out to
Sure.
parents and stuff to know what's coming, and just that communication piece, which I think is very important, to just parents knowing what's coming for curriculum wise and stuff like that.
Yeah, it seems
So-
like the math curriculum things are in the news right now
Yeah.
for some reason.
So it was good.
Yep, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Ms. Lamar, thanks for your work on this. Appreciate that.
And for serving on a state board.
Yes.
Great.
And I would be remiss if I didn't mention all of the contributions of the entire committee. This has been a team process all year, and we were fortunate to have members of our special education department as well as 2 administrative reps, Mr. Kolbeck and Mr. Hurst, who both served on our committee, so I want to thank them.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, and we'll move next to a report from Principal Kolbeck regarding what's happening at Adams and McKinley schools.
During their presentation, I remembered that a month ago I was not here to give the monthly report because we had kindergarten registration or kindergarten orientation over at McKinley School. So it was fun to have that evening. After the last 2 springs, we haven't been able to do that. So we felt like we were getting back to normal a little bit. We had a good turnout, so it was fun to meet the incoming group and their parents. And so that's where I was a month ago. But tonight I wanted to talk about the month of May and just all of the things that are coming up. May is crazy busy, but it's a very exciting time to be a student and a staff member in McKinley and Adams School. So kind of in no particular order, I just wanted to share some of the things that our students get to do here in May. So our 1st and 2nd grade kids are going to be bused over to Chahinkapa Zoo in Wahpeton, North Dakota. It's been a long, long, long time since I think our Fergus Falls Public School students have gone over to the zoo. We're not going all at the same time, 2 different days, depending on what grade you're in. But thanks to our parent-teacher organization, this will happen. This is not an inexpensive trip. The cost to attend the zoo has jumped from $5 to $8. And then when you add in transportation, it's an expensive endeavor, but we can handle that because we have a really good fundraiser that I'll talk about in a little bit. Also in May, our FIDE teacher at McKinley School, Jamie Lill, organizes what's called McKinley Field Day. This is for all of the students at McKinley, kindergarten or first grade. They rotate through 8 stations, and they have a blast. It's held outside, and depending on the station, you might get a little bit wet or soaked, depending how you handle certain things. So they have a great time with the McKinley Field Day. And then another thing at McKinley that happens in May that's kind of a special event is called Kickball with Dads Day. And they go over to a nearby park and have a little fun. It's a good way to get the dads involved with their younger child. We have some music programs going to take place over at Adams School, thanks to the good work of our music teacher over there, Ruth Umlauf. We're going to have some second grade music programs. I think 3 of them. We have 9 sections over there, so we'll 3, 3, and 3. And then another couple programs with our first graders. I stopped in the music room the other day, and the kids were singing me a couple of their songs that they're practicing for that. And that'll be exciting. When you think about it, the second graders last year had no opportunity to do anything like that. The year before, no opportunity to do anything like that. So I'm thinking there's going to be a really good turnout, and for a lot of the parents and grandparents, this will be the first time seeing their child in a school music program. Also in May, Kindergarten Farm Day. So thanks to Dennis Wutsky and his FFA students, they put on a pretty good day for our kindergartners out at the fairgrounds. I think the kids rotate through 4 stations. The favorite one, of course, is being able to touch live animals. Another big hit is the good old-fashioned hayride. There's also an area where they can climb on the large farm equipment. And then maybe the least favorite is where they learn where your food comes from. You have to sit down and anyway. So then we have the Boosterthon Fundraiser. So this is what allows us to do things like go to the zoo. We've done this in the spring. Our Boosterthon Fundraiser raises no less than $25,000, so it's incredible. The culminating event is the Boosterthon Fun Run at our track here on May 24th. And then we have what's called Cleveland School Orientation Day. We send all of our second graders at Adams School over to Cleveland to spend a morning. The third grade teachers there and students, they entertain our second graders and they do some fun activities. And Mrs. Rund will be there and welcoming them as they get off the bus. Last year we had to do that virtually. So it's again, and the year before that we didn't do it. So it's good, again, to do something like that. It feels normal. Then we'll have our 4th grade orchestra tour. This is really good for the 4th graders, but also good for the younger kids. We'd like to plant seeds. We'd like to ask them questions in the audience. Hey, how many of you might want to play in the orchestra someday when you're in 4th grade? And so kind of like hint, hint. And of course, everyone raises their hand that they want to be in the orchestra someday. So that's a great experience. The noon Rotarians are coming over to McKinley like they do every spring. They buy and purchase a book for all of the students. It's Josh the Otter. It's a book on being safe around water. It's a water safety effort. And then, maybe not as exciting, but what's a spring without map testing? So we need to have our kids spend a little time in front of the computer and we can measure their growth. We do that in the fall, winter, spring, math and reading. So a lot of work into that and with the scheduling and work behind the scenes with certain people. So that's what's coming up in May, and we're looking forward to it. It's going to be really exciting and hopefully create good memories for our students. So I can entertain any questions from the board.
What's the date on the farm day?
Yeah, that's a good,
I'll catch up.
I wanna say maybe the 24th,
Of May?
but check with us at McKinley, we'll know
I'll
for
do
sure.
that. Yeah, that used to be, I was there a couple of years ago, they have it at the Red Horse Ranch a couple times.
We've had it at the Red Horse Ranch, and then most recently it's been out at the old fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Well, not the old fairgrounds, it's the
The
fairgrounds.
fairgrounds.
Yeah. I'm gonna have that for you here, Kirby.
Or you can just get it before the end of the meeting.
It's the 26th.
26th of May?
We bring a group out at 9 and another group at 12:30. So 4 classes and 5 classes.
Yeah, and the fun run is May 24th.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
It-
Thank you.
It wouldn't be the school board if we didn't ask how, what kind of numbers came out of our
There you go.
Yeah.
registration. event.
Yeah, I mean, very similar to past years, and I've kept a lot of data over the years, and what we've seen is that about 65% of the incoming kindergarten class will usually show up to the night of kindergarten registration. I don't know what to call that night anymore, because that used to kick off the registration process, but now it's more of a kindergarten informational night, because the families, many of them had their child registered well before that evening, because everything is done online now. And again, we were kind of forced into that situation a few years ago when we didn't have school in March, April, May. So a pretty good turnout. I think we're gonna have, we're planning on 9 sections of kindergarten again in the fall, just like we have this year.
I think it's a great thing, that round of registration, whatever you want to call it. You know, I've been there a few times. We would have been there last month too, but we had a meeting that night.
Yes, you did.
It's a class of 2,035. Boggles your mind.
If you could just bottle that kind of energy that goes into that building that night,
Yeah.
both parents and kids, it's just really
And staff too, they're excited.
a neat event.
Well, and I've had parents tell me that their soon-to-be kindergartner thought that they should be going to kindergarten the very next day.
Oh.
I've heard stories that some of them were upset that they had to go to preschool. And I'm not a preschool student anymore.
Good. Any other comments or questions for Principal Colbert? Thank you.
Thank you, Val.
All right. We'll hear next from Principal Rund. Good evening, Cindy.
Good evening. With help of Leslie Knudsen, we managed to lower this podium just a couple of inches. It's a better fit tonight. At Cleveland, we are right in the middle of MCA testing. Last week, we had students take the MCA Reading Test, and starting tomorrow, we will venture into the MCA Math Test. And just to remind you, in previous years, we have spent the whole month of April doing the MCA testing in the 2 computer labs. And this year, we needed to have students take this test in their classrooms on their Chromebooks. And it's working very well. The technology's holding up. We worked through a couple little glitches with the help of our tech staff, and it's going just fine. So we're going to get that completed here at the end of April, and then also venture into the month of May. But really, truly, with MCA testing, there are a lot of expectations and guidelines that we need to meet, and it has taken a group effort to do that, and I just really want to express appreciation for all the teachers did proctor training and covered up things, instructional materials in their classrooms, and are upholding positive testing environments. And then those that are involved with planning and coordinating and getting kids to the right locations for the accommodations and the like. So it really truly is a building-wide effort to do this well. And of course, we look forward to sharing those preliminary results with students and celebrating their achievements, and just showing them that, yep, your hard work does pay off. So that will be forthcoming. And then May 2, I just brought some highlights to help you forecast what is going on in the month of May at Cleveland. Mr. Colbeck mentioned our 4th grade orchestra is going to be on tour across the district on May 5th. They're going to open with a concert for their Cleveland classmates here at the Kennedy Secondary School Auditorium. It's been a treat for us to just walk over and sit in seats, and for those kids to have the experience of performing on stage this year. So it's nice to be right in the neighborhood and be able to do that. The fourth graders will go to OLV, McKinley, and Adams, pausing at the Center for the Arts in the middle of the day for lunch and a movie. So kind of a special treat for them. And then May 5th and 6th, Otter Pto is sponsoring a STEAM learning activity that will be set up and held at the community arena. So we will walk over from Cleveland to the community arena, and each class, they'll either have a session for themselves or two classes will attend together, and it's about a 60-minute interactive learning activity. Some eye-hand coordination things. It's really neat. So looking forward to that. It's the Boosterthon funds that go to support this type of learning activity, and PTO really did an outstanding job of seeking this out, so we're really excited about that. And then May 9th, M-State is hosting the Young Writers Conference that day, and we have 10 third grade students and 10 fourth grade students to attend that event. It's a day where these students attending there get to interact with authors, illustrators, get to hear some storytelling, and so really a motivating event for them to maybe try these things out for themselves and the like. And then Mr. Colbeck mentioned the PTO Boosterthon. That's taking place May 16th, and then the fun run on the 24th. And I just wanted to reflect to our local businesses do an outstanding job of supporting this fundraiser in that they sponsor the purchase of t-shirts for each child. So each student gets a t-shirt, and as they complete laps that day, staff members are marking the laps of completion, and they wear them with pride after that, and it gets to be a fun little souvenir for them to keep. And of course, it's their motivation that very day. And then other field trips, fourth grade sections will be spending a day at Glendalough. Third graders will have their final field trip to the Prairie Wetlands Learning Center. The PSC sections have a special day where what they call their celebration day. Students are looking back through their journals over the course of the year and picking out some of their favorite events and highlighting them in an essay that they will get to share with their families on this particular celebration day. And then different third and fourth graders, grade levels have field days planned on the green space at Cleveland. So the make and trips to the library, and it just goes on and on. So lots of special activities, special learning opportunities, and introduction to things in our community as well. So good things are happening. Right. And that's good. A lot of information.
Any questions?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we'll hear from Ivan Hurst, middle school principal.
Good evening. Recently, the middle school started meetings and conversations on our professional educations and our professional beliefs and educational beliefs. We've been focusing on two areas: staff core values and the middle school experience. Staff core values is how we, as a middle school staff, agree to teach, work, and learn. The middle school experience is what our students see, hear, and do each day. It is what our parents can expect from our staff. Simply stated, the middle school experience is what you would see, feel, and experience when you are in our school each day. We plan to continue our discussions until the end of the school year and pick it up again next year in fall in service. This work is planned to conclude in early next fall. Our end product will incorporate the profile of the graduate, since that work has already been done. The conversations and communications this has sparked in our faculty has been very enjoyable. I'm really excited to see where this goes. On Wednesday morning, the next two Wednesday mornings, we have our 7th and 8th grade honor breakfast. Students with a GPA of 3.5 or greater are recognized. We have 90 7th graders that are going to be recognized and 93 8th graders. And they'll be recognized for their hard work in the classroom this year. The program starts at 7 a.m. each morning. A big part of middle school and this time of the school year is scheduling and planning. Over the past several months, we've been meeting and planning for the 22-23 school year. We've made adjustments to our staff with movement within the district and hiring. We have adjusted teaching schedules to better serve our students. We have worked to try to reduce shared staff as well and begun some room movement to better identify middle school and high school areas of KSS. I feel really good about some of the decisions that have been made and looking forward to further conversations. Scott and Tiddy both mentioned at length end of the year events. There's been much planning and communication for all the events that occur at the end of the school year. Items such as music concerts, grade level field trips, and other special events such as the 5th and 6th grade track meet, transition programs for the 4th grade and OLV students, and other events have been organized to end our year in a positive fashion. I didn't list them all though. But thank you to all our teachers and staff that have worked so hard to give kids, because you've heard me say this before, life is about experiences, and the field trips and the different events that they're going to experience in the next 28 days of school, not counting. Those are memorable now and into the future. You probably remember your track and field day. So that's all I have this evening. Any questions? Very good.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. A board report coming to us from Principal Mark Anderson.
Good evening.
Good
So
evening.
if you get done before 7, the high school jazz band is having a concert. I don't think we'll be finished by then. Something else going on afterwards. Couple other things for the high school. Some of the things I have for the high school are also both happening here and the ALC. We're working together to honor some seniors. But the Otterbots finished in the top 26, and they were able to go on to the state competition. Top 36 compete. I haven't found out how they finished yet. Maybe Jeff has, and that will be in his report. The FFA had a strong sectional showing, and they are going to state. And Mr. Woodsky is taking them this week, and they have done a phenomenal job. I'm very interested in the car mechanic, the diesel engine one. They placed first. I'd like to see how they compete against that competition and see if they can continue that dominance that they had up here at the state competition. The Knowledge Bowl finished 20th in the state competition when we went down, so they did a phenomenal job. They competed against some pretty big schools. Some of the kids have been talking about hanging out with some of the Eden Prairie, Edina schools where they have 3,000 plus kids, much bigger than us. We will have our senior recognition May 9th at 7 o'clock, so we'll honor our seniors for the things they've done in their 4 years here at the high school. The seniors have completed their senior showcase in their senior meeting last week. Still got 22 of them to get finished. It's an opportunity for us to put up some things that the seniors plan on doing after high school. They don't know they're going on the TV, and they don't know they're going to be at graduation, so they haven't figured that part out yet, but they've worked really hard with us to get that completed and honoring them in what they're doing after high school. As part of that, we have worked hard with the Chamber of Commerce. Catherine Henderson has connected me with Lisa Workman, and one of the things we talked about is how do we honor all our seniors. Some of our seniors are phenomenal athletes, musicians, and have scholarships and signing days. So we decided why not have a signing day for all of our students. One of the senior showcases is finding out what students want to do after high school. Is it a work? Is it a gap year? Is it 2-4 years? Or is it what's your opportunity afterwards? So we're going to have them come in an 8-minute rotation on May 11th from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock and sit down and sign that they're going on to whatever they plan on doing on that day, so we honor all of our seniors in that opportunity. Send an email out to the principals behind me. We also want to try something with our seniors on the last day for the seniors on May 27th. It's called their Seniors Last Walk. We'd like to honor them in their 13 years, but also allow them to honor the teachers they've had from kindergarten all the way through high school by walking through their schools to honor them on their last day as a honor before they graduate. One of the other things it does is also allows us to take any retired teachers and let them lead that walk in each of their own individual buildings. So we're working on that process to honor our students and our retiring staff as a great big thank you for their 13 or 30 plus years in our district. Mrs. Tilke worked with Mrs. Herzog's first grade class, and they have been working on an activity where they're writing with partners, and they came up here last week to work with us, and the kids have had a blast, been able to walk in and out of the creative writing class. I think the high school kids have gotten more out of it than the elementary kids, really making those connections, and it's one of her project-based learning activities. Our Mca assessments are finished. They were won back to back to back. We started with the ACT, so our students have finished that piece. They're pretty excited about that. One of the kids in an IEP was like, "We have what left?" He found out we had MCA math last week, and he was happy to find out no more. He's done. He gets to take a deep breath. Our ALC students will join us in the senior signing day recognition, and they will also get the opportunity to walk with us when we do our seniors last walk. The ALC is also recognizing their students, the ALC All-Stars. Students who meet units and requirements start wearing sweatshirts that have the All-Star on them. Starting to see more of those out in the hallways. They're wearing them proudly. It's nice to see. Nate Bailey was over working with Mrs. Toole, and they asked if they could go to the NDSCS campus visit, and they're taking all their seniors over there to give them the opportunity what a 2-year experience could look like and some of the things that are out there for them. So they're going to go over and have that opportunity on the 27th on Wednesday. They also are doing Pay It Forward April 28th. The advisory is going to go out and do acts of service of kind for the community. They are going to the Humane Society with special projects of walking dogs. They're going to read to the kindergartners at McKinley Elementary, bowling with day treatment students, and they're going to do the flower garden at the ALC on the 28th. I hope it's nice out that day. The ALC graduation is set for June 2nd at 7 o'clock here in the auditorium. I will send an invite to all the board members and the superintendent on that. We have 16 of our 19 prospective graduates are looking like they're going to make it to graduation for us, so we're looking forward to a great night with them. And the credit recovery for 2022 referrals and registrations have begun. Kristen has put that out, and they're starting to come in for us in all the areas that we do summer programming here at KSS. IQ Academy, the staff is making fail calls right now, kids who are struggling. They're really reaching out, making the effort to get those kids back on track, re-engage back in the classrooms. They are doing their Mall of America trip on Friday, May 13th. They're doing their catch-up week, May 23rd to the 27th. They're going to add extra office hours and get kids in who need that extra push and extra support to get to that final grade to pass the courses before they finish up for the year. Graduation discussions are happening with the IQ Academy students. They'll come on June, like we have in the past, on June 3rd, have a meal and get prepared for graduation that night with us. Ryan did send out a great article, Keepers from the Pandemic to his IQ staff. It talks about some of the great things that have happened in the pandemic and things that you can bring into your classroom that you've done through this pandemic that you don't want to stop doing that have been positive for students and staff. And next week, the IQ testing is finished at IQ. Ryan and his staff have gone to 26 different spaces or different locations to do both their testings. And the staff has been amazing, helping Ryan support the opportunity to get all the students for the IQ Academy to come in and be tested. And they are doing re-registration for next school year at the IQ Academy also. Any questions?
Thank you, that's a lot.
Thank you.
Our last report for the evening is from Superintendent Creighton.
Well, good evening. I think mine will be fairly short, but some important things to acknowledge. First, always our thank yous. I want to especially thank Christy and Amelia and the work of the Math Curriculum Review Committee for all their diligence in reviewing different math curricular options and setting the vision forward and making sure that our students will have a really rigorous curriculum and plenty of supports built into it to help every student be successful. I also want to thank our local community. I had an opportunity a couple of weeks ago to be part of a semi-annual visit for our vocational programs where we go to area business and several employers meet with us there and give us their lay of the land in terms of what they're looking for in potential employees and how they can support our programs here. And Shoremaster hosted us and gave us a tour of the facility, and it was very interesting. I'm happy to say that the reports are that manufacturing is very strong right now. There are some pipeline issues in terms of getting some of the supplies. And they are definitely in a hiring mode. So we have, as we have students that have strong technology skills, enjoy working with their hands, there are plenty of local opportunities here with great employers available to them. We also have Teacher Appreciation Week coming up May 2nd through May 6th. And I want to, in advance, thank all the teachers for their hard work this year. It's been a little over 2 years. We've had a number of curveballs thrown our way and lots of adaptation and flexibility and helping to support one another on this journey, and very proud of the work that the faculty and staff have done for the district and on behalf of our students. We're also going to combine, during that Teacher Appreciation Week, we're going to have our big end-of-year recognition program. And I say big, it's not very long, but it's important. We will recognize our support staff of the year, designees, and we will also talk about years of service and recognize our folks for the milestone years of service. This is a change from prior years. We used to do this at the fall welcome back, and it just seemed like years of service was better recognized at the end of a school year rather than at the start, so we will do that. And for those retirees that are comfortable being recognized, we certainly will recognize them at that event as well. So May 5th, 3:40, and we'll have some refreshments there, and that will end probably 4:15. It's not a very long program. Upcoming events, a couple of these were touched on already, but we do have the jazz band concert tonight. I'm pretty sure I saw some people filing in to get the best seats on already. You do, our communities does a fantastic job coming to all of our concerts, and so if you want to get a seat, you do typically have to get there pretty early. Dollars for Scholars Awards program is coming up on May 4th. That's going to be out at M-State this year, and so looking forward to being part of that. That's a combined program with both our Fergus Falls Otters and Hillcrest Lutheran Academy seniors. And a wonderful morning, and my thanks to the Fergus Falls area Dollars for Scholars for all their hard work. And then we also mentioned Senior Recognition Night coming up. Very nice event recognizing all the accomplishments of our seniors, and again, well attended, and looking forward to that as well. We have an FFA banquet coming up May 12th, and Mr. Anderson discussed that the FFA has been very, very successful in competitions, leading to some state berths this year, and we'll be anxious to hear how they did down at the state level. But that event, this will be the first time I will attend this event since I've been here, but always a very nice event, and the students typically run those banquet programs pretty much from start to finish, so it's nice to see them kind of take the lead and walk through that evening. On the facilities, this is probably more for our constituents maybe than the board. But we certainly are continuing to look at the Lincoln School Phase 2 planning, looking at various financing options and what avenues we have available to us, working with our architect and construction management firm to see if we can pare down some of the costs with the rising costs of construction. So we're actively involved and engaged in those conversations moving forward. But an exciting time for planning for the district. And with that, I will entertain any questions.
Did you hear how the Otterbots team did?
I've not heard a final, no.
Very good.
That staff recognition, is that in the cafeteria again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions? All right,
Thank you.
Superintendent Stan. We'll move on with our agenda to the general consent items, where we will consider for approval the minutes from our April 11th board meeting. And then we will consider personnel changes. And so with that, I will ask Elaine Jenke to bring us up to speed.
Good evening, everyone. I have almost over a half a page dedicated to personnel, so lots of items here. I won't go through item by item just for sake of time, but at the same time, the information isn't right in front of you. Certified staff resignations, Anna Allen, third grade teacher at Cleveland, Jennifer Smith, special education teacher at IQ, and Andrew Crummy. He did multiple positions here, social studies teacher, substitute teacher, student service coordinator, so he's also will be resigning at the end of the school year. Under certified staff contract request, we have a number of, actually 7 certified teachers with our IQ Academy that are requesting to rescind their rights to positions. Allie or Allison Rinquist, Matt Damon, Lori McNally, Deb Suter, Vanessa Jacobson, Jennifer Carlson, and Heather Miller. So they are all rescinding specific FTEs as indicated in the agenda before you. Certified contract hires, Madison Differding, long-term substitute elementary teacher at Adams, and that's effective May 2nd through the end of the year. Peyton Sconson, language arts teacher, he has an increase of a 0.25 FTE beginning at the next school year, along with Melody Lundquist, a ag teacher, Courtney Anderson, ESL teacher, and Rebecca Wynn, special ed teacher. They all will begin at the start of the next school year. Note that on your agenda it says effective at the end of the 22-23 school year under Rebecca Wynn. That was a copy and paste mistake. It is correct up there and will be corrected in the minute. So I apologize for that error. I just noticed that as it was in front of me here. But Rebecca Wynn will be switching from a 935 special ed teacher to a classroom teacher here at our McKinley School. Support staff hire, Ethan Anderson, summer grounds worker, effective May 16th. And then support staff retirement, Lisa Brown, food service. We'll have a retirement later on, retirement resolution a little bit later on under new business. Also, we will have some ULA, our ULA resolution for proposed cuts, and those two will belong to the IQ. And just, we have a lot of movement in the IQ. Always at the end of the year, we increase, and we just never know what the enrollment is at the start of the new year. So that's why you see a lot of shifting back and forth with our staff there. So any questions or anything on that? If not, then I would request board approval on those items.
All right, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion on any of the items? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That item, agenda item passes. And we'll move on to new business, which is our annual resolution discontinuing and reducing educational positions and programs. And whereas the school board of Independent School District number 544 adopted a resolution on January 24th, 2022, directing the administration to make recommendations for reductions in programs and positions, and whereas said recommendations have been received and considered by the school board, be it resolved by the school board of Independent School District number 544 as follows, that the following programs and positions or portions thereof be discontinued. So this is district-wide and does include IQ Academy, certified staff position, 0.1667 full-time equivalent, and that's in math, and then a support staff position, a half of a full-time position, and that's a special ed paraprofessional. So would someone offer this resolution and move for its adoption?
I'll offer the resolution and move for its adoption.
All right, and is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion on the resolution?
And these are just, we'll add our additions to our last resolution during our April 11th board meeting. Had some different, a few changes, so we wanted to put those through so that our budget would reflect the correct numbers.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions? All right, clerk, please.
Melanie Cole,
Yes?
Matthew Lemke,
Yes.
Missy Hermes, yes. Stephen Vigasa,
Yes.
Kirby Anderson,
Yes.
Natalie Knudsen.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted.
All right, thank you. We have a second resolution on the agenda, which is proposing placement of a continuing contract / tenured teacher on unrequested leave of absence. Be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District number 544 as follows, that it is proposed that teacher name, and I'll fill in the names at the end, who is a continuing contract or tenured teacher of said district be placed on unrequested leave of absence without pay or fringe benefits at the end of the 21-22 school year, effective on June 30th of 2022. Said action is in accordance with the district master agreement and pursuant to Minnesota Statute 122A.40 subdivision 10, upon the grounds described in said statute, which are specifically financial limitations. Be it further resolved that a notice of proposed placement on unrequested leave, together with a copy of this resolution, be forwarded to said teacher, and that an affidavit of the same be placed in his or her personnel file with a copy and notice of the resolution. The next part of this document, or this resolution, is the format which will be utilized, and that format is just basically a letter that tells the employee that they are getting put on unrequested leave of absence. That narrative will be in our board minutes should someone wish to see it further. Melissa Hermes, the clerk, will sign that document. And so the final piece of this is that each and all of the foregoing grounds of said notice are within the grounds for unrequested leave placement as set forth in Minnesota Statute 122A.40 subdivision 10 and Article 15, Section 2 of the current master agreement between the school district and the exclusive representative, and are hereby adopted as fully and through separately set forth and resolved therein. Fully and through?
Oh, I didn't write that.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Survived it though, and the 4 teachers getting the notice will be Regina Bush at .0833 full-time equivalent, Mariah Minkinen at .3333 full-time equivalent, Heather Schrader .0833 full-time equivalent, and Lisa Tyson at .333 full-time equivalent. Would someone offer that resolution and move for its adoption?
I'll offer that resolution and move for its adoption.
Thank you. And is there a second?
Seconded.
Thank you. Any discussion on the ULA list and process, anything?
You could thank Minnesota School Board Association for that language.
For the language. Yeah. All right. Hearing no comments or questions, I'll turn it to you, Clerk.
Matthew Lemke.
Yes.
Missy Hermes, yes. Stephen Vigasa.
Yes.
Kirby Anderson.
Yes.
Natalie Knudsen.
Yes.
Melanie Cole.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted.
All right, thank you. Next, I'll seek a motion to adopt the IQ Academy school calendar, which has been provided to the board. Someone offer a motion for that?
So moved.
All right, and a second?
Second?
Any discussion on the IQ calendar for the fall, for next year? Hearing none, all in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved. Looking for a motion to approve the math curriculum that was presented earlier.
So,
All right,
so
very good. And a second on that?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right. The next item for our consideration is to enter an audit agreement between our school district and I. Bailey Licensed Limited Partnership, providing a district financial audit from July 1st of 2021 to the end of June this year. Would someone offer that motion to enter that agreement?
So moved.
All right, and a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Any questions or comments about our usual audit engagement? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right. I will seek a motion for requesting additional staffing for the upcoming school year for a language arts teacher for .1667 FTE and a special ed teacher at 4/10 of one full position.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, that is approved, and now our last regular agenda item is a resolution on the retirement of Lisa Brown. Whereas Lisa Brown began her employment with Fergus Falls Public Schools in August 1995, whereas Lisa has been a valued employee with Fergus Falls Public Schools for the past 27 years, and whereas Lisa has been a dedicated food service worker for the district, and now therefore be it resolved by Fergus Falls School Board to thank Lisa Brown for her 27 years of service to Fergus Falls Public Schools. Will someone offer that resolution?
I'll offer that resolution, move for its adoption.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Great. Any comments? All right.
All right, Stephen Biggessa,
Yes.
Kirby Anderson.
Yes.
Natalie Knudsen.
Yes.
Melanie Cole.
Yes.
Matthew Lemke.
Yes.
Missy Hermes, yes. The resolution is adopted.
All right, thank you. That concludes our regular meeting agenda. We'll stay for our work session where Principal Anderson will give us a presentation on a 5-period trimester schedule. And if we have time, we'll talk about facilities. And with that, see you back here on May 9th. And I would seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. And we are adjourned. Thank you for